Newcastle United's hold on the League Cup has been relinquished after a 3-1 defeat at Etihad Stadium last night and 5-1 on aggregate. We exit the semi-final second leg stage as they join Arsenal in the final next month. And look, let's not dress it up as anything but it was. Despite finding a pulse second half and playing better than first half, and let's admit it, it wasn't difficult. Manchester City won the beach. Manchester City allowed us to have a bit more space. And there were conservative players that made substitutions. It was 5-0 before Langa's well-taken goal. I'm not taking anything away from him. He was arguably our best player when he came on. But at 5-0 at the time before his goal, City were coasting. So they allowed us to play and said, break, we're down, and we couldn't. And that overall was embarrassing. It was dismal, and it was sobering to show just how far away we still are from Manchester City. So welcome back to the channel, everyone. I hope you're all well. It is Thursday afternoon. It is like last night's result. It is dismal out there. It is grey, it is dark, it is gloomy. And that's a bit how I've felt today. I like being positive, but I'm not going to dress up last night's defeat. But I'm recording this afternoon. I had an early night last night, and then we've a mandatory meeting in the office this morning with our new CEO. I hope you're all well. Thank you so much for watching. As usual, please like, please comment, and please subscribe, and please hype the video to help the channel. But yes, our League Cup run is over. But let's admit it, after the first leg, when that second goal went in from Ryan Cherki, we knew it was an uphill task. Before last night, it was 11 consecutive visits to Etihad Stadium and we'd lost by an aggregate at 37-3. That's now 12 visits, and that's an aggregate score of 44. We just knew we weren't turning around. I'd predicted 3-1 last night to Manchester City. I'm a realist, I'm pragmatic. I didn't see we're turning around because the last time we won there, 2014, in this competition, 2-0, Sissoko and Aaron. Yeah, it was always an uphill struggle against a team whose the gap between us and them is still increasing. Despite them having struggles this season, they were only won, I think, 2 games this month prior to us. But like Liverpool hadn't won a league game, Newcastle are just what you need prescribed when you need to get a result. So they join Arsenal in the final next month. We don't need the derby rearranged, so that continues on the Sunday at 12 p.m. But a damning stat is Newcastle United have now went to the top 12 50 times and only won 6 games. That is 12%. That is just not good enough. Just not good enough. And yeah, I didn't expect it to win last night, but you expect a bit more of a performance from her. Yes, we showed a bit confidence and our heads didn't drop after their opening goal and there was more fight in the second half. But I've said it, when you're 5-0 down, City on the beach, they were coasting and allowed it to play. We saw when they didn't allow it to play, when they established a 3-goal lead first half, the gulf's just still so big. And look, I want to just touch on David Hopkinson's interview yesterday. He talked so well. I was with him and Ross Wilson at the meet at Stack on the 1st of December last year. And they're articulate. They come across really well. Much better, I must say, than Paul Mitchell. And he seems more charismatic. Well, you normally will being a Canadian than Darren Eales. Proof will be in the pudding this summer. Because while he talks a good game, we need to see more action. Look, I'm with him. Although we don't like PSR, it's designed to keep the 6 clubs who were able to strengthen and build their revenues before it come in and keep the likes of us and Aston Villa in our place, who are ambitious. The rules are there, I'm with them. There's no point moaning about them. I've moaned about them before. But until we grow our commercial revenue, we get a training ground sponsor, we get training kit sponsors, we get a new training ground, we need spades in the ground up Woolsington, news about new stadium, even though what I take from his interview on TalkSport yesterday, it sounds like he just wants to expand St James's Park, because we know there's a lot of red tape and issues with Leazes Park in terms of electrical cables under the ground. Then you've got biodiversity, the wildlife. I've done a video on that before last summer. It sounds like you might want to expand St James's Park, but the bigger revenue will come from more sponsorships and finding ways around it. He's right, you've got to find ways around it. Well, them rules are there, and then it's going to SCR, which he said the club have supported. You've just got to find ways around the rules. It might take longer, but so be it. Although I still don't think, based on last night, winning the Premier League and the Champions League by 2030, I still think that's rather ambitious, the gulf between them. And what I think we would have beat Arsenal if we got the final? No. But look, he knows what he's doing. He's worked in NBA, NHL, Madison Square Garden. Real Madrid. He knows what he's doing. And those who are looking at the feasibility studies for the stadium and when the training ground's built, they know far more than me. But it's good to see him on there. But the proof in the pudding will be this summer. Bit like the transfer window, but I'll come to that after what he said on that, and Tonali. But last night, yeah, you thought first 15 minutes, Eddie Howe set up in a 5-3-2. He went man for man, which I felt was suicidal at the time because City have got more athleticism. And they were constantly getting between the lines, too big a gap all the time. They were just overrunning with midfield. Tonali was anonymous. But you thought first 15 minutes, can we contain them? Can we try and quieten the crowd? Can we try and get a foothold? Maybe sneak a goal, drag it out, maybe and take it to extra time if we can get a late second goal. But that goal in the 7th minute, it just killed we. And look, Marmoush, yeah, he was bearing down on goal. Dan Burn got a great interception, but he was so desperately unlucky that it hit back off the Egyptian and looped over Ramsdale's head. And I immediately text the lads in my WhatsApp group. I went, that's a tie done. That's it done. I didn't think, like I've said, I predicted 3-1 City. I didn't think we'd turn around with a record there. But you just cling on to some blind optimism that can we get a goal and hold in there. That was literally probably 1% of me. 99% of me going, my head knew that we're not getting through. But you wanted to still see a good performance. Players maybe coming in to prove a point. But yeah, that first goal went in. And yes, there was a sort of response. We had Anthony Gordon's chance when there was a goal kick from Aaron Ramsdale, flicked on by Burn and Willock. It was a good save by Trafford. Before that, I nearly forgot. We had Joe Willock's chance, but there was no conviction. When Voltemara played him in, I just felt he had no confidence, conviction about him to round it past Trafford. But the keeper got down well. Again, like Marmoush, he only turns up against us and scores against us. And Trafford, he's had 2 good games against him now. Ironic, a bit like Ekitike, we wanted him in the summer. He scores against us. Trafford's had another good game against us, like he did at St James's in the first leg. But yeah, no courage or convictions with Willock, and he was a bit like that all night. Any good attacks were hard. Well, he had lots of running about him. His final ball was dreadful. He's had a couple of good games, but he didn't have a good night last night. And I do feel he still needs moved on in the summer for the good of his career. And Lewis Hall, he pressed O'Reilly well, won a free kick. The player got a yellow card. Trippier hit it through the wall, but Trafford got down to his right well. City still had chances at the other end. Nori and Reinders done a good one too around Trippier, deflected over for a corner. Then Semenyo put a good ball across the face, which wasn't tapped in. But then 2 sucker punches just buried were in the 29th minute and 32nd minute. Firstly, Semenyo played onside by Trippier, and then the ball came across. Trippier's clearance looped up in the air. He got it all wrong, and it fell invitingly on the head of Marmoush to head past Ramsdale, who was firstly in no man's land, then for some reason in the back of his net. And then the third goal, Foden was allowed to turn too easily in his own third. Reinders, as he mentioned after the game, which is damning, saying I couldn't believe how much space there was between the lines, galloped forward, played it to Semenyo. Burn got a little toe to it, but Semenyo cut it back to Reinders and he finished under Ramsdale. It was 5-0, game over. City on the beach, cigars out, sun loungers, towels, etc., etc. And we had a penalty appeal turned down for a handball, but I don't think it was a penalty. His arm was tucked in like that. And then the performance was compounded by Anthony Gordon's injury. Obviously, he had that chance. I felt he's running in behind with their high line, was causing him a few problems with his pace and movement, but he didn't do too much after the opening 20-odd minutes. After the chance in the 21st minute and then he went off with a hamstring injury. I've seen comments saying, was he faking it? Did he just bottle the game? I don't want to accuse him of that. We'll see if he's in the squad on Saturday till we know more. Eddie Howe might say more in his press conference tomorrow morning. But yeah, just compounded it. Harvey Barnes came on, but you just knew the tie was done. So it was damage limitation. Go and maybe rally a bit, show a bit of fight, try and make the scoreline more respectable, get a goal or two. Because I had a feeling City would ease off, which they did. But they allowed Wood to get back into the game. Like I said, they won the Sun Loungers at this point. They knew they were in the final to play Arsenal next month. But Wissa came on. Barnes came on for Gordon before the half-time whistle. Start of the second half. Alanga came on for Willock. Wissa came on for Voltemara. And Lewis Hall came off to protect him because, again, we shouldn't be relying on him every game to carry where he was substituted for Jacob Murphy at left back. But I've just got to say on the substitutions, Voltemara got a lot of stick last night. But look, The lads come in, he was clearly a panic buy. He started well because you get that a honeymoon period, the momentum, new player. But teams have figured him out. We're not playing him to his strengths. And he was asked to play against a high line last night when he drops deep. And they always had an extra man the way we were set up to just smother him. We were never finding with the ball. He had 11 touches in the opposition box, not a shot on goal. He's devoid of confidence, so fans need to get off his back. There's a player in there. Fans online, but they need to get off his back. There's a player in there, but I feel without the training sessions, this is where I do agree with Eddie Howe. We're not getting time to work with him, so he needs an opportunity in the summer. That's if we do end up keeping him. Wissa, chance at the start of the second half, but he still looks off the pace. He doesn't look like he's on the same wavelength at times as his teammates, and he just skewed that high and wide. It was awful. Yes, we had other chances second half. To get back into it, Sandro Tonali had a shot at goal that Trafford easily saved. I felt Harvey Barnes did a little bit when he came on. Obviously, he put the chance across goal for Elanga after his goal, but Elanga just couldn't match his earlier goal. But I'll get on to that goal. That was the bright spot. Elanga come on, his pace was causing them problems against the high line. He was full of running. He was unfortunate with that second chance, but he's shown that his shoots there, that he could be the player we've signed. And he took his goal so well. He was on the right and he kind of played it around Trippier, maybe Tonali, I think it was, or Ramsey. But then he went, you know what, stuff this. So he cut inside, Reinders, dribbled through him and Ait-Nouri. Ait-Nouri was trying to force him out of the box, but he curled a lovely left-footed shot past Trafford. So I'm delighted for him. I give him the best rating last night, probably a 7.5. But he done so well. So I'm pleased for Elanga. He was one bright spot. Yes, we had other chances. Like I said, Barnes scored, but Wissa was offside. Marmoush had a few opportunities to get his hat-trick. And then Haaland had a couple of opportunities when he came on, but they were well saved by Ramsdale. But all in all, the game was over at half-time, and it ticked over to its inevitable conclusion, and we meekly went out of the League Cup at the semi-final second leg stage. So yeah, no complaints. And I've seen this, by the way, before. This account shared it, said Eddie Howe handing the League Cup back, and it's to Mickey Mouse. Honestly, I'm creased at that, because there's been a lot of chatter online saying it's a Mickey Mouse Cup. Look, I've never said it's a Mickey Mouse Cup once. That's just what fans say when they're out the competition and they haven't won anything for a while. But the fact Liverpool have won it 10 times, City have won it 8 times, and on the verge of possibly win it for a 9th time. It's not a Mickey Mouse Cup if you look at all the previous winners in recent seasons. It's just been all the biggest clubs. So it's not a Mickey Mouse Cup. The big clubs take this competition seriously. Yeah, maybe more so when they get the latter stages, but it's still a trophy. When Borough got the final in 2004, I was jealous. That was the best day of my life last March. So I'm gutted we didn't get to the final, but I'm also a realist. I didn't expect we to turn around against City. So the 2 best teams in the competition are in the final. It's as simple as that. And do I think we would have beat Arsenal? The form they're in this season, still in the FA Cup, top of the Premier League, finished clear at the top of the league phase standings in the Champions League? No, I don't. I felt last night's result was coming for a while. We were far too open. We couldn't match City's athleticism. Going for man for man was suicidal, in my opinion, from Eddie Howe. And yes, he changed it when he brought Asula on for Trippier. He went 2 for 2 at the back. Botman and Chow against Haaland and Marmoush. He abandoned the 5-3-2 and just went for it. I didn't know what the formation was, but it didn't work. But in the end, we had nothing to lose. I know we went out and technically we did, but we had nothing to lose in terms of the scoreline. Trippier, I just think he's finished at this level. He's off the pace, and the second goal was just, it was painful to watch. And he's been the player who come in and attracted the others, who started this revolution. But yeah, despite the impact he's had here, he needs to go this summer, I'm afraid. No new contract. We need to move him on for his sake. Chow, he just looks like a player who's played 30-odd games. They were targeting him constantly. He was having to bail out Trippier all match. Tonali, anonymous first half. He just wasn't in the game at all. The midfield got overrun. Like I said, going for man didn't work. Willock, wasteful in possession. Should have scored his chance, just anonymous. Voltemada had a couple of touches but was crowded out. He done nothing. He was sub, but like I said, don't get on his back. We're not playing to his strengths. Wissa, wasteful. Doesn't look fit. And he doesn't look like the player we got for Brentford, but maybe someone will see come good next season. Elanga, our best player when he come on. That's how I'd sum up the game. A meek surrender. Bleak. It was dire. It was dismal. It was grim. And yeah, No complaints. We're out the League Cup. Now, I just want to address Sandro Tonali, though. The rumours about him going to Arsenal. What do I think? Well, look, do I think he's irreplaceable if he goes? No. Every player's replaceable. That's football. We've seen greats come and go. The club will always survive. Do I think he should go? No. One bad half a season doesn't define the player. He's just become a dad. Big responsibility. But I will admit, since he signed his contract extension and he says you've got to play it year by year, he has been off his game. And then there was the talk, which angered people last night, Pep Guardiola saying he knows a family member of his. He speaks to him in Italian. And yeah, the rumours about him going to Arsenal, his agents deny it. Tonali's come out to quash the rumours. They said there's been no contact. But look, this is just what happens. This is the reality of PSR. And it might continue with SCR. I don't know yet until that comes in. But there's a food chain. You mightn't like it. I don't like it. PSR's there to protect that top six, who've established their revenues and grown before we could. Ashley never strengthened us at all. He kept agent players who had no value, no resale value, didn't do any good advertisement, or rather his tatty sports empire around the ground where we've got no commercial income from him. So we're always playing catch up. That's why we've spent 400 to 500 million. That's our reality. And we've only strengthened in 1 in 5 windows because, look, I'm with Hopkinson, I'll say this. I don't agree where he said it's been a great window and he's in touch day and night. First call in the morning, last call at night with Wilson. But I understand we're not going in the window. Yes, we want new players, a fresh impetus in the squad. Fans can get excited about a new player that could give a lift to the team, give a lift to the squad. It challenges players who maybe have become comfortable in their position if they play in their position. We'll love new faces, but January, you either sign players who are surplus to requirements, so is it really good getting a player who might only improve quantity, not quality? Or do you want a player who we might have to pay over the odds for and then affects with summer window? And just remember, we wasted a load of money as it stands right now last summer on players who haven't really been fantastic. And the pressure will crank up on Eddie Howe. Do I want him to go? No, I don't think that the club want him to go, but it's a results business. And we could be out of all competitions come March. I still think the FA Cup game's up in the air. Villa have lost at home to Brentford and Everton recently, so we could go there and win, who knows, but it's still a tough fixture. Villa have been flying. Champions League, we'll probably get past Carabao, but then you've got one of Chelsea or Barcelona. Can we get past them over 2 legs? Highly doubtful. And then you meet Bayern Munich later on, even if we do. So, yeah, it could come down to out of all competitions in the next month. And then the pressure will crank up on how. I don't think we're going to get Champions League. In all honesty, we don't look good enough to re-qualify for the Champions League. That's just me being pragmatic on what I've seen over the season as a whole. Tonali, do I think Tonali will go? Yes. But I think we'll have to have a contingency plan if he does go. That's just, as I said, bigger clubs who got more revenue than us at the moment, twice as much, can offer better wages, a bigger transfer fee. What do I think he's worth at the moment? Probably 85, 90 million. But I think because of the length of time he's got in his contract, in spite of him not being in form this season, I still think there's massive potential there for him to push on and be an even better player. So you can command 3 figures for that. Do I want him to go? No. Like I said, 1 half bad season doesn't make a poor player. But I'm also aware that the bigger clubs can offer more money for him. Yes. And if he does move on, we'll have to just not have our head in the sand like we did with Isak. I'm not sitting on a high horse here. I didn't think he'd go at first, but we've had a first big sale, getting rid of Isak, and no player's bigger than the club. So if it comes to a massive bid that we can't turn down, we've got to get him shipped on early so we've got time for reinforcements. But yeah, it's just the reality. PSR. It's designed to keep those clubs in their place. And I just think it's a deliberate ploy to unsettle the player. And then if we don't get Champions League football, that revenue back in on a consistent basis, and you don't win a trophy, then the player's head will inevitably be turned. Because look, most players, to them, it's a job. I don't think Tonali thinks he owes it, despite standing by him in a betting ban, and despite how long is left on his contract till 2029, and with the option to extend by a year. He might just see it as a job. He might move on in a short career and win trophies at clubs who are in a better position to do so on bigger wages. That's just the reality where we are at the moment. We don't like it. I don't like PSR, and I mightn't like SCR, but that's just our reality. We have to accept that. And a lot of players just do see this as a job. It's a business, and that's what it is at the moment. He mightn't think that he owes with anything. And while that's frustrating, that's just where we are as a club. PSR's just designed, the bigger clubs will circle. There'll be reports put out in the media, whether it's the agent or other clubs who have got journalists on their payroll. They'll put a story out. That'll unsettle the player. If we don't get Champions League or win a trophy, or he thinks his ambition can be achieved elsewhere, that then means we need to sell that player. That weakens the squad. We haven't got the money from Champions League football to again invest into the squad to improve it, and then that puts us back in our place. That's exactly what PSR is designed for. But let's be honest though, we are nothing without Bruno, and I am desperately hoping he is back on Saturday when we play Brentford, because that game now is a must win. But anyway, that's it from me for now. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you all have a good rest of your working week, and I'll see you after we've played Brentford on Saturday, though we're all out on it all day sesh, so it mightn't be uploaded till Sunday morning. So thank you so much for watching. Please like, please comment, please subscribe, and please hype the video. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye for now.